Hey procrastinators! Today I'm here with a Shop Your Stash Monster Mash hop put on by Craft Collabs, and our sponsor today is a Colorful Life Designs, who will be giving away a $30 gift card. To win that gift card, all you have to do is leave a kind comment at each stop in the hop and like our videos. So let's get started. More details for that will also be in my description box below, by the way. So let's get started. So I have got the honeybee stamps, the names Jack stamp set and die set here. I have pre-cut and assembled my pumpkins and my little ghost there. And I also ink blended the edges of the pumpkins and the ghost. The colors will be up on the screen for you and listed in my description box below. I'm just trying to save some time here because this was quite a detailed card, and because there are at least 10 stops on the hop, I believe. So I'm just trying to make this so my video isn't really long. So I am stamping these in VersaFine Claire and Nocturne, so I get a nice dark black impression on these faces. Did have to stamp these twice because I haven't used this stamp set before. I don't make much Halloween cards, so did have to stamp that twice. So I am going to use the My Favorite Things Launch Party die set. I do believe that this was recently retired, so sorry about that if you do not have it. But I'm sure that there are ways that you could kind of make this work without dies too. It would be a little difficult, but you could probably make it work. So as you can see, my panel is magically ink blended here. I do have the colors for that up on the screen for you. Again, like I said, I'm just trying to save some time here. So we are working with the Launch Party die set. As I said, I'm just lining up that that pull piece there with the channel that I cut. Just lining it up so the brad kind of went in the middle there. And then we've got an acetate piece that I attached to the pull tab there. So you want to make sure that this, it's got a little channel on the acetate piece. I don't know how easy that's going to be to see on screen, but you just want to pull that up so it comes just above the white pull tab piece, and then mark it with your pencil. And then there's a really teeny tiny little hole die in the Launch Party set, and you'll just cut that out right where you marked your little pencil. So My Favorite Things sells these little, I don't know what they're called, but they're basically for their interactive die sets, and they look like little like smushed Tic Tacs is what they look like to me. I can't remember what they're called, but I don't have any of those, and so I'm going to make my own little stand-in piece here. So I'm going to put my little pull tab piece back on here, just tape it down with some post-it note tape. I want to make sure I get it nice and lined up here. Make sure that that little brad is in the center of my channel. Tape that down, and then I just doubled up these little foam squares, and then they're probably about a third of the size of those foam squares, and like I said, doubled them up so they're nice and thick here. And then I'm just going to put them in the channel, one right next to that brad, and then one maybe about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch over from the first one. And then we're just going to remove the release paper, and then there's these two little circular two little circles that are from the die set that I cut out in white cardstock. I believe I cut those out in 100-pound cardstock. And then there is this little collar piece that's going to hold your pull tab piece nice and straight. And so I'm just going to fold that on the score lines here and take my score tape and adhere that all together. I'm going to put a piece to adhere the collar together, and then I'm going to put a piece on the back to adhere the collar to the front of my card panel, and make sure that that holds my pull tab nice and straight. So I'm just going to slip that over and make sure that that is where I want it, and make sure that my pull tab piece is straight, and then put that down. I'm going to test everything. That's really important when you're doing interactive cards, to make sure you test as you go. So then I'm going to take these foam squares and cut them down again, double them up, and we're going to place them right around the slider there, the pull tab, and make sure that nothing is going to impede where my slider goes. So I did cut that out again just to save time. You don't need to watch me put foam tape on there, but again, they are all doubled up, and they are just, I'm just making sure that they're not impeding the slider. So then I took another brad and I put it through the channel on the acetate piece, and then through that hole that we cut with that little itty bitty die. So as you can see, that's raising up nicely, and that's what's gonna have my interactive piece. I'm gonna have my ghost pop up behind some pumpkins, if you noticed on my my pictures in the beginning. So I've got my little ghost here. Now I'm just gonna play with this for a minute and decide exactly how this needs to go, how I need to put my ghost where it's gonna be, you know, exactly the placement, because I'm not exactly sure. This is the first time I've used this die set, and I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna go. And at this point, I decided that the ghost wasn't popping up far enough. It wasn't exactly how I wanted it. So now I'm gonna take this all apart carefully without messing anything up. And I'm going to take that channel die that we cut from the green panel, and I'm going to make it bigger or longer. And so the only thing that's really kind of a problem here is this little collar piece that we put on there. That's going to rip my panel a little bit, but no biggie, nobody's going to see that. So we're just going to line this channel piece up here. Make sure that you do not cut all the way to the end, because you do need a spot for that collar that we just removed. And you need just some area to glue things down too. But all right, so we're just going to take that piece out, and then off screen I put this all back together. I mean, you've already seen me put it together once, so you didn't need to see me put it together again. So now you can see my ghost is popping fully up, and that's exactly what I wanted it to do. So now I can adhere my ghost down. I'm going to use some score tape to do that, and just put that back behind the ghost. And then what I cut out was me fiddling around with putting score tape on the bottom of the ghost, which was a mistake. Don't do that. Don't put any adhesive underneath that brad. As you can see, now it doesn't move. Oops. This card was one of those things that, you have this great idea in your head, or you think it's a great idea, and then everything just fights you. That was this card. So that was one of the mistakes I made. One of the other things that happened was I had ordered some glow-in-the-dark embossing powder from Fawn, and like 3 days ago it was in my state. It was 2 hours away from me, and then the next day it was in Tennessee. And a couple days later it's still scanning as it's late, but it's coming. And but it's still it left Tennessee like 3 days ago, and it still hasn't made it here. Nothing to do with Fawn. It's USPS, and I don't know why it went to Tennessee. It went from California to Washington State and then to Tennessee, and it was supposed to be in Washington State. All right, so I'm just adding some more foam squares here to give my grass panel some more stability. Again, you have to make sure that you do not put it anywhere that your slider mechanism here is going to, go. You don't want to impede any of the interactive parts here. So just make sure that you are aware of where your pieces are going to go. So I'm just putting my grass panel here. I did cut it down, as you saw, but I didn't cut it down all the way because I wanted to make sure that I had some wiggle room here. So I'm going to cut off the extra acetate because it was in my way trying to cut the grass down, and I wanted to make sure that I had a clear path for my scissors, and I didn't want to cut off the little pull tab there either. So now I'm just cutting off the excess grass parts here. Got it all the way I needed it. And then we are going to play with the placement of my pumpkins. And as you can see, that I did leave the ghost sticking up a little bit because I knew that I was going to put pumpkins in front of it. It wasn't going to be a big deal. I just didn't want my whole panel to be grass, especially when I spent so much time ink blending, which you didn't see me do. But I did spend a lot of time ink blending this panel. I mentioned in my last video, which I know probably a lot of you haven't seen because this is a hop and you're not my, not all of you are going to be my regular subscribers, but I am recovering from COVID, so I haven't been in my craft room lately, so I had lost my ink blending arm. Ink blending is so hard right now. So if any of you have taken a huge break from crafting and you were an avid ink blender like me, and then you go back to ink blending, it's like, wow, that was really hard. I did not realize how hard it was to ink blend because I usually do it like on every card, and this was difficult, guys. So it took me forever to ink blend that panel. All right, so I'm just putting my my little pumpkins on here, getting everything exactly the way I want it, and then like I said, I don't have a ton of Halloween stamps, so I am using one of the stamps from Create and Inkspire, last year's kit that they had. Create and Inkspire is no longer around, so you cannot get this stamp set anymore. I'm sorry about that, but I don't have much for Halloween stuff, so I had to work with what I had, and this is a Shop Your Stash hop. So then I'm just going to take some super fine white detail embossing powder here from Ranger. I'm just going to heat emboss that off screen. I've got an MFT Essential Sentiment Strip die here, Slanted Sentiment Strip die, and I'm just going to cut that out. I thought it'd be nice to have a nice pop of purple here. Of course, while I was editing this video and getting ready to do my voiceover, I realized that the theme of this hop was not only Shop Your Stash, but it was supposed to be black and purple, and as you can see, I did not follow the rules because apparently I can't read before I do my project. Again, we're just going to blame that on COVID. I had COVID brain and just did not pay attention. So, moving on, we've got the Lawn Fawn Pull Here stamp set, and the Pull Here stamp that I have here was just a little too big for my my pull tab, so I'm just masking off the here and just going to use the pull. Then I've got again the Create and Inkspire Haunted Greetings, but I'm also pulling out the Haunted stamp set as well and using the spider web from that to stamp in the corner. I masked off part of that so it didn't get up on the back of my card, well, on the back of the inside of my card. Just stamping that in VersaFine Claire in Nocturne, which is my favorite ink to use for sentiments and stuff like that. Well, it's my favorite ink for just about everything except for Copic coloring, obviously. Then I'm just going to take one more of those pumpkins from the names Jack, Honeybee stamp and die set, and just going to pop that on the inside. That's going to finish off the inside of my card. Then we're just going to take the panel that we made for the front. I'm just doing one last little check to make sure everything works here, and I'm going to cover the back of the panel with some foam tape. I'm going to cut that out so you don't have to watch all that, but do make sure that you're not putting anything where any foam tape where it's going to impede your little pieces there in the back. And then it stuck before I really wanted it to, but I got it not too bad lined up on there. It's a little off center, but that's all right. We are handmade, not Hallmark. All right, so that finishes off the card for today. Don't forget to leave comments along the way so you can get a chance to win. The hashtag for this hop is Shop Your Stash Monster Mash. I will have that in the description box below, as well as the title of my video. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and gave me a thumbs up. And as always, have a great day.